Hey guys, welcome to another Sunday special. I'm not normally putting videos out on Sunday, but I feel like lately when I have a video that's maybe a little bit unconventional than the usual, I'll put it out on Sunday, and so that's today's video exactly. What I want to talk to you about today is something that has been on my mind for a little while, a number of months, and it's this whole issue of censorship that's happening across the major online platforms that I use all of, except Facebook. I don't actively use Facebook any longer, but YouTube and Twitter I both use. YouTube obviously a lot more. I don't really use Twitter that much. I kind of use it to follow some people, and I don't really actively post on it. But the thing that is happening right now in the world is kind of crazy, in the sense that there is something going on in the cultural narrative that is causing people to act very irrationally and sort of authoritarian, and that is very concerning for me, because it's not the government that's doing it, though the government has its fair share of authoritarian things that it does, but it's these big tech companies that are doing it, and I kind of find it troubling. The issue at hand is censorship in general, but there is one specific example in what happened to Alex Jones. And I don't really feel like I need to defend Alex Jones, but I would defend his right to free speech. And I think that the fact that there is a cultural phenomenon is actually more terrifying than if it was a government phenomenon, because I think policies are changed by the culture, and this culture right now that is afraid to have conversations and thinks that certain voices need to be shut down is not very good for humanity as a whole, and I'd like to express why I think that is. So you might totally disagree with Alex Jones. You might say that he perpetuates hate speech, or whatever you might say about him. And again, I'm not here to defend Alex Jones or defend anything that he has to say, though I agree with some of the things he has to say, and I disagree with with other things he has to say. However, if you're going to shut people down, this is going to stop conversation. I think shutting people down is sort of like a form of prohibition, and prohibition doesn't make things go away, right? Like, you can create a prohibition for drugs. Does that mean drugs go away? No, it just means that they go underground and they find other ways to manifest themselves, because people are going to say what they want to say, regardless of laws or anything that corporations are going to do to censor them. So, what might happen as an effect of all this is that, it's obvious that sort of conservative voices are being censored online, and whether you agree or disagree with those voices is irrelevant. I think any liberal, which I consider myself very liberal, classical liberal in the sense, would defend anybody's right to freedom of speech. And the fact that this is happening is not a good step forward as far as our culture, and as far as humanity wanting to kind of work it out and get along. The one danger I see, the biggest danger I see when it comes to censorship like this, is that people make mistakes, right? People say things that they regret, and if you can't have conversations and you can't say things that you might regret, how are you going to ever know that you would regret them? So, for example, let's say somebody was born into a very racist family. Perhaps they were sort of maybe there's some punk rock skinhead kid grew up with neo-Nazi parents and started to reflect those ideologies in their social life. What happens over time is these ideas, and ideas that aren't good, ideas that are bad, like neo-Nazi ideas, are horrible ideas, they lose in the marketplace of ideas, because most people realize that they're irrational. Like, it's very irrational to be racist, right? Like, it doesn't even work in your own self-interest. It works against it. So these kinds of ideas lose over time because people have conversations. And if we're going to start killing conversations and people, and where we basically just put them underground or move them somewhere else, those ideas aren't going to be in the public psyche. Therefore, they're not going to be judged or corrected. The fact that somebody can say something that's wrong is a good thing, because then some people will come back and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or you're wrong there and this is why, or people in their family will, or their close friends will come to them and say, hey, maybe you should rethink this. This is part of conversation. This is part of how we evolve as cultured human beings on this planet. If we can't have conversations with one another, the people that should be learning and corrected will never do that. So I'm not saying that Alex Jones is a neo-Nazi. He certainly isn't. What I'm saying is that if people can't have conversations and be corrected and make mistakes, you can't expect culture to evolve. It's like you bury it, you put it underground, and there's like the old saying, the best disinfectant is sunlight and air. And that is figuratively and literally true. And if we can't expose things for what they are, you can't expect them to be corrected or go away. Like, if people, a lot of this censorship stuff is coming from, in my opinion, this sort of social justice mimetics that has really dominated the culture for a long time, at least 10 years. I've seen it come up in my lifetime, and it's really, really come to the forefront in the last 10 years. And that is a cultural narrative we're going in that direction. And you can say whatever you will about that, but if we can't have a conversation about these things, who knows where it's going to go. And I would even defend the social justice warrior to go and say whatever the hell they want. Call whatever you want hate speech. Go and scream and call everybody a misogynist and a racist and your sort of garden variety of insults. That's totally fine. I will defend anybody's right to say that, no matter how ridiculous it is, because they'll learn. Some people will learn, and ideas evolve by getting out there, because you hear something, you say it back, and then somebody corrects you. If it's only in your head, so if we go across and censor all the neo-Nazis and social justice warriors, then they're going to sit there and stew in their own head, and they're going to censor themselves with having conversations with other people too. And that means that they will not be judged or corrected. This is dangerous. I really think people need to think about this and think about why freedom of speech is so important. Western society is founded in the bedrock of these principles of freedom of speech, and in the US you have this written into the Constitution. Canada, we're going against that, unfortunately, but I don't think it's too late. I think that if people start talking about these things and we shift the culture to the recognition of how important speech is and how freedom of speech is so important, I think we can bring it back. Unfortunately, this social justice narrative is the one that's in the dominant culture right now, and it's where people are going. I think it's a mistake, but I think it can be corrected. And so I'm optimistic, but I thought I'd bring this up because I think it's a super important issue that everybody needs to be concerned about. Now, as it pertains to me, who knows? I mean, hey, right now it's okay to make videos about organic farming and teaching people how to make money off their land, but what if that becomes wrong speak, and what if I get silenced? I tried to stream live last Wednesday for the What the Fungus, or this just past Wednesday for the What the Fungus t-shirt contest, and we couldn't stream. I don't know what's up with that. I looked into my YouTube account. There's no strikes against me or anything. So I don't know what's going on there. Does that have anything to do with the censorship? I have no idea. I don't know. I haven't heard back anything from YouTube, but as a contingency plan, if you guys want to hear from me and you want to continue seeing my content, I would highly recommend joining my email list. That's down below in the show notes. Sign up. I send out one email a week. I basically send people kind of the best of my videos of a certain week. Sometimes I send you blogs that I've written on Medium, and just basic stuff. I'm not spamming people. I'm not trying to get you to buy my online courses. Just kind of giving you an update of what's new in my content. And I might have to switch platforms at some point. Who knows? I'm already thinking of a contingency plan to set myself up on some other platforms in case YouTube no longer becomes viable for me. Who knows? Who knows where it's going to go? I'm going to continue posting here for now because it still works. I like YouTube. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, but I have heard of some other platforms that seem to be coming up, getting more traction. BitChute, Minds.com I'm looking at. there's Steemit, and what's the other one? DTube. So there are other options out there. It seems like right now BitChute is becoming the big contender for YouTube, and Minds.com is becoming the contender for for Facebook and maybe Twitter. So I'll be setting myself up on those accounts shortly, but for now I will keep posting to YouTube, so continue to follow me here. But again, if you want to find out where I'm at in case I disappear and get unpersoned like that's happened to Alex Jones, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, I don't know, you never know, but in case that happens, sign up for my list so you can stay in touch with my content and you can keep watching my videos and keep learning about farming, small farming, organic farming, and gardening. Alright guys, thanks for listening, thanks for your consideration, and we'll talk to you later.